Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers, connecting with makers from all around the world. Here's your hosts, Jamie Page, Chris Cute, and now, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is and wherever you are listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Hello.
And Mr. Jamie Page.
How you doing?
And it's just the three of us tonight. How are you guys actually doing? I know, Chris, you were saying earlier you've been feeling a little bit under the weather, kind of. Are you, seriously, you good to go?
Yeah, people freak out when you tell them that you've been sick recently, and they're like, "Oh my God, are you going to die?" Oh my God, no, I don't have the symptoms of the virus. Okay, it's a totally different thing. So just take a chill pill, guys. I'm gonna live. Trust me. I have faith. And see, then I'm getting questioning looks from Richard Morley. I
was just thinking, because we always take the mickey out of you for being slightly longer in years than us two, and there comes a point when the mickey taking stops, when kind of outside influences become quite serious. So I was just like, do I? Don't I?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Because
what we'll do is we'll wave a little truce flag for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, we'll try.
Bless you.
You can't be saying that either. People sneezing all over. Anyway, so yeah,
I didn't say gazoon tight.
Genuinely, if you do get poorly, then I'm a nightmare when I'm poorly. I'm just the worst patient in the world. But no, Jamie, you don't get such a truce. We're going to mercilessly take the mickey out of you regardless.
I know. Expected.
What have you been up to? Have you been doing loads of turning in your shed?
I've been doing things like this. So that's a Scottish thistle cut out of inch-thick maple on the scroll saw, and then filled in with resin.
That's awesome.
So that I was hoping to get that project done for this Sunday, but unfortunately I was advised not to turn the resin on the day of cure. So that's going to have to be next week's video. And it's going to be inlaid into Purple Heart. But I did get a boo-boo this afternoon. I kind of slipped with a chisel and took the top of my finger off.
So if anyone caught that little glimpse of a screenshot there where Jamie held his finger up, that's the plaster that's looking flat. Because he showed me before the show. Obviously, if you're listening after the fact, it doesn't make any difference. But when Jamie holds his finger up, instead of it being like a round end, because he's got a plaster on it, it's literally flat. I took the top of my finger off, and it literally looks like he's got a square-ended finger. But it's actually the plaster. It's got one of those flesh-coloured plasters on.
Chisel.
Band-Aid for those in America.
You did that with the chisel?
Yep.
Not hard to do.
I don't know where the chisel is because I threw it across the workshop.
That's why Jamie doesn't use traditional tools.
No, you don't have to worry about that thing being sharp again. It's
okay. Jamie's only allowed to use carbide tools because they're like the safety scissors of the turning world, aren't they? The preschool Mickey Mouse scissors with the rounded ends. Here you go, Jamie. You can use the carbide.
Oh no, there's a pretty sharp one here. That one could be some serious damage. Look.
Well, don't run with that, okay? You can't run around the shop with that because if you trip, you could hurt yourself. Or something.
You're not even allowed to run with the preschool scissors. And obviously, I'm not suggesting that this isn't a carbide traditional thing. By the way, before anyone jumps on the bandwagon, no, it's not.
You just made it.
This is a Richard Jamie thing, and that is it. Look, just that's it. What about you, Chris? Have you been up? I mean, how long have you been poorly for? Have you been doing anything in the workshop?
Been the entire week, Richard.
Really? Because
you see that couch and I? That couch and I are close to becoming married. Because we've slept with each other so often this week that it's getting to the point where we should probably just tie the knot.
So that's a you telling us to do.
Yeah, and I just woke up.
What about you, Richard? What have you been up to?
I've been kind of sort of busy, probably busier than normal, to be honest. Had I postponed all my jobs this time last week? I forget now.
I don't think so. You didn't say so. If you did,
No, I don't think so.
So where we could go with it, because it's weird because like days do blend a bit. Do you ever find that? So it is a bit different. I mean, I don't really have a routine or structure anyway, apart from the podcast on a Sunday and the occasional other things. But I think when we spoke last time, I was thinking about postponing jobs. So I've now postponed all the work that I had lined up indefinitely. Now everyone's saying the UK is on lockdown. I think that's I don't know. I don't really like that phrase because we're kind of not. The government's sort of treating us like grown-ups and saying you probably shouldn't go out and mix with people because you don't want to get poorly and then get someone else poorly. So, you've got to eat, so you need to do your shopping, and you might need to go to the post office or the bank. So you can do that, but if you don't have to go out, don't go out, which is just, well, it's kind of how I live my life anyway.
It's not like there's a cop standing outside your door that's going to check you before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not. There's not a curfew per se, because this lockdown implies, to me anyway, it kind of implies lockdown or curfew, but that's not the case. So I basically sort of postponed all my work indefinitely. So I've got a few jobs lined up for after this all blows over and we can go back down the Winchester. So I've been sort of busying myself around. I'm with Kat the whole time, so helping her sort of do housework type stuff. I've been out in the workshop and done a few things. I made a mallet. I started making it ages ago, actually. But you have those sort of projects that you kind of start and then get bored of, or something else becomes shinier and it sort of diverts your attention. I did that. So I made a leather, rawhidey, leather-faced mallet. Nice. Basically. So nice. Anyone watching or anyone listening, anyone watching, obviously you can see it because I'm holding it up. But anyone watching after, basically I've got this really thick leather. It's about 1/4 inch thick leather, and it's quite waxy. So I just rolled it up really, really tight into a sausage roll, put some Jubilee clips or some hose clamps around it to hold it until it kind of went off, and then just drilled a hole through it, put a stick on the lathe, turned it and banged it in and glued it all up and made it like a hammer. But it's to be surprised how hard leather is. Listen to this.
Oh yeah,
that's leather. That's pretty hard. So I think
normal leather or vegan leather.
Yes.
I don't know what they call vegan leather. I've forgotten what it's called.
I'd probably call that ouch myself.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't know. I think it is animal leather. I don't think it's anything. But it's been.
What other kind of leather would it be? Human?
Well, I know. You can get synthetic leather.
Yeah, no, I think it's animal leather, but it's. I don't think it's like veg tan. That's what I meant, Chris. So there's like a really high wax content, so it's really stiff and kind of waxy to the touch. And if you heat it up, it just goes like paper.
It was the way it was tanned. Okay, I got
it. Because there is actually two types of tanning that they use.
Veg tan. That's what I was looking for.
So that was that. And I'm going to make another one because when I drilled it, if you imagine like a sausage roll or a Swiss roll that you roll up, I drilled the hole at the point that the last bit stops. Mm-hmm. So where the hole goes through, the last the end of the strip has got like a semicircle in it. Whereas if I hold it up, I'll probably be able to explain it a bit better. So there's the end. I don't know if you can even see it. The end's here, like in line with the handle. So there's like a semicircle cut out of the bottom of the end. So in theory, it could unroll like a full outer edge. So I'm going to make another one, but have like a hole enclosed in the end of it. So it's like an eyelet. So that's and I might video that. I didn't video that. I just went out there and I've been doing non-video things apart from the odd live stream over the last week. But,
awesome.
That's what I've been doing. I'm really interested in knowing what our listeners have been doing because you know, everyone, certainly, Chris, you're in sort of, how did you explain it before? You're not in quarantine, you're
No, I mean,
muted.
no, that's funny. That's funny because our president tried to put 3 states in quarantine yesterday, and that's just a freaking joke. There's no friggin' way in hell you could quarantine 3 friggin' states in the United States of America. I mean, think about it. Just the sheer definition of quarantine. Think about that. That's normally like an isolated room where people that wear protection are only allowed in and out, you know. So, and to try to apply that term to 3 states in America. Anyway, no, we're not in quarantine. I am in one of the few states that is in I guess you would say a mandatory stay at home order. Basically, if you're a non-essential employee or if you don't have a non-essential task to do, then you are required to stay at home. But that doesn't, like you said, it doesn't mean that there's a cop outside my freaking door checking about me where I'm going. It's like, I'm allowed to go to the market because I've got to eat, you know, and I've got to go, if I have to go to the pharmacy because I need medication, I can do that, you know. So I'm not, you know, in that kind of lockdown, but it's just in one of those cases where the government is saying, basically, if you don't need to be anywhere, then don't go anywhere. Stay where you're at. And that's it. So and so I'm in one of those kind of situations, and that's no difference than pretty much anywhere else. People just label it differently. It all means the same friggin' thing. It's just stay home, you know, is all they're saying. And if you don't stay home and you abuse things, then at least in some areas, if you're congregating and you don't need to be congregating, and the police happen to come by, you're going to get fined, and it's not going to be a pretty ticket. I mean, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. They will fine you for being out and about because, you know, we got to contain this damn thing.
And also, I mean, the other way to look at it was it's not going to be like a parking ticket that you could probably get away with not paying and kind of dodge.
No.
This is affecting our economy quite seriously. So they want every penny they can possibly get. So this is not the time to be dodging the fine.
Yeah, exactly. No, not going to be happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, presumably for you, that doesn't or hasn't made a huge amount of difference. I mean, it hasn't made a huge amount of difference.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking about that before today's show because I was thinking about, you know, what could I tell people? And I honestly don't have anything that would be of value to tell anybody because I'm retired. So the fact that I'm required to stay home doesn't mean anything to me. And, you know, and not being out of a job, I've been out of a job for 15 years because I decided to be out of a job. So I don't, you know, there's not much that I can actually offer to anybody out there this is new to, except that, you know, I can offer my empathy. That's about it. I mean, I don't really have much advice that I would even ask you to listen to at this point in time, as far as that goes.
So basically for you, it literally is business as usual, other than the fact that you might not go shopping.
Kind of. I mean, I don't. Have I wanted to go places because I needed things? You know, yes. But I mean, other than that restriction, it really hasn't affected me that much. So, man, like I said, I'm not the person to be giving out advice today. So, I mean, I'll let you guys do that.
Well, what about you, Jamie? Have you noticed anything kind of?
Not really. I mean, I've not actually because I'm one of the ones that's high risk in the house. I'm not actually able to go out anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a pandemic to put you in the high risk category, Jamie. I think we have established that.
Yes, I think we established that last week as well. But yeah, I've not been allowed out. I mean, if I have to go to the doctors, then I will. But the way when I went to the doctors last time, like they handled things so poorly at my doctors. Like there was no hand sanitizer. There was no. It's like they didn't give a damn.
Or
people were like, it was like the London Underground on a busy weekend inside that doctor's office. People were. They were touching each other like this, like it's like keep sardines in a tin.
More than likely, Jamie, the doctor's office just gave up. It's like we tried, but
almost. Almost.
How long? When was that?
That must have been a week, 2 weeks ago. So right at the very start, almost.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that doesn't sound like something that is now.
But obviously,
I mean,
it's stepped up again now because I'm having all my
Yeah.
appointments cancelled and all sorts.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I've noticed in the first instance, kind of people's attitude, and I'm including myself in that as well, has changed a huge amount in the last 2 weeks, as well as the sort of the social etiquettes of people go and walk the dog. And
well, let me ask you a question: has it changed for the better, or for the good, or have you noticed the both?
For me personally, yeah, it's brilliant because people just naturally stay away. I'm like, around people generally. So this for me is like,
You're such a social butterfly. Anyway,
it's perfect. I've literally been waiting all my life for this. I mean, I've never been one much to go out, and I don't particularly like crowded places. I can't stand the tube; it's just horrible. But yeah, that's by the by. Just generally, I will go out and walk the dog, and we have a sort of a set route that the dog knows, and some of it is down an old disused railway line. So it's a single track railway line, railroad, whatever you want to call it. It's all overgrown with trees, and the sleepers are still there, although the ties. So you walk down this basically muddy path, and everyone walks their dogs down there. So what happens is you end up like catching somebody up or meeting somebody coming the other way, and then somebody will sort of traipse through the bushes and through the brambles, crunch them all down and create this little passing place, and then you'll walk past and you'll say hello and you'll be on your way. Whereas that is kind of a bit weird. And we were actually saying to these strangers, because the other thing is, because this is the ironic thing I've found, everyone's kind of like, stay at home. Yeah, that's the advice. Stay at home and all the rest of it. We're meeting more people out dog walking than we normally would, because everyone's going out for their sort of day's exercise or to walk their dogs. It's kind of weird. The streets are empty because people aren't about, but actually when you get out into the fields and the footpaths, it kind of is busier. I mean, not that there's like crowds of people or anything, but you just see more people. Where you might see 2 or 3 dog walkers, now you'll see maybe a dozen. So it's all very British. That's the only way I can sort of explain it. It's this sort of polite, awkward.
I saw somebody post a picture on Facebook, and it was a picture of a dog standing on the uppermost part of the kitchen cabinets.
Oh, I saw that.
And the dog's going, I'm not coming down. I've already been for a walk for 20 times a day, you guys. It's like people want to get out. And so the first thought is, let's take the dog. We'll go for a dog walk, and we'll go get some fresh air and, not hurt anybody. And social distancing is happening. And then the dog is up there going, I'm not doing it again today. I'm just not doing it again. Anyway, I can give you my life lesson for this week, Rich. It has changed since the last 2 weeks.
I've got a life lesson actually this week. This is vaguely related, but go on. I'll let you go first.
Mine is try not to get sick with normal stuff right now if you can.
I think I'm back.
Only because if you try. I don't know how it is in the UK, but I mean, as I mentioned, I've had an issue for the past week, and trying to get in the doctor's or even get a doctor's appointment to have them take a look at you. Yeah, no, not happening. That's just there's no way I could even go in and see a doctor. He just was like, they won't see you. It's like, nope. But what's your problem? No, okay, well that'll wait. Just stay home. Oh, okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
So I actually think this could be a silver lining to all this. Normally our life lessons are sort of very light-hearted and amusing, but that's actually, I think that's quite an important key one, because I've heard stories of people ringing 999 or 911 equivalent in the UK because they couldn't get to hospital. not for an emergency. It's just they couldn't get transport. They literally, so there are people out there that think ambulances are
Taxis.
like a taxi service to the hospital, and obviously that costs money and it does risk lives and it all the rest of it. And the fact that people are having to cancel non-essential appointments and all the rest of it because there's something more important actually might just sort of address those issues of priority, because we're all very entitled, aren't we? I had to wait 5 hours in A&E on a Friday night because there were all these drunks. And it's like, well, if you have to wait that long, it means you're not really hurt. It sort of puts it in perspective a little bit. Now that rather than having to wait ages, they're saying don't even bother going. So I think that could be a good thing potentially. I mean,
but that's not that's not where I'm coming from, though. It's just, I just wanted to see a doctor to have him go, oh, okay, you probably got this. Here's some antibiotics, and I'll talk to you later. I can't even get that. And so it's like, it's just a matter of, well, I'm sorry, we're not seeing anybody right now because of this virus, and our appointments that we do have, but we're full. So, just stay home and try to rest. And in other words, what they're basically saying is, just freaking suffer through what it is you have.
Deal with it.
It's
deal
like,
with it.
Just freaking deal with it. I'm like, okay, all right, no problem, not a problem. And I'm doing it, but man, I'm just saying, try not to come down with a regular cold, because if you do, people will around you will be going, oh, does he have it? Does he have it?
Like the Spanish Inquisition looking for witches because you've got an actual cold, and you need to do shopping.
I can promise you, I don't have it. I have none of the symptoms of it, but it's like, oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, that's my life lesson. Just try to stay healthy, for your own good. I'm not even talking about the virus. Just don't catch a cold, okay? And expect a doctor to see you. It's just not going to happen. At least not here in the U.S.
Be healthy. Stay healthy.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. Is we all do kind of dangerous things or inherently risky things.
Yeah.
As a matter of course, and like Chris was saying,
one wrong move, and we need that doctor or hospital.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, would it be prudent to not be doing woodworking?
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, the U.S. is in the process of trying to set up hospitals that are exclusively tailored to taking care of people that have this virus, and they're trying to set up secondary hospitals where they can take care of people that cut their finger off with a chisel. So because they know that they still have the influx of those people, but because let's be honest. Just because this virus come along, that doesn't mean people stop having heart attacks. They still need to be treated. Mm-hmm. These people are people that. But what they're trying to do is alleviate the hospitals from the people who don't really need to be there. Oops, I got a boo-boo and need a Band-Aid. It's like, no, okay.
Jamie.
Go away. And we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there.
Be interesting. What my life?
There's not a doubt in my mind that I was going to say, there's not a doubt in my mind I would need butterfly stitches, but I'm not going up the hospital for that.
No.
Just a couple of Band-Aids.
So what did you actually do? Did you literally remove the top bit of your finger, or did you just cut it quite deep?
No, it's gone across the face, but it's gone quite deep.
Right, okay. So you haven't detached anything, no matter how small.
No, it's not detached.
But you'll heal then.
But it's.
I've got a scar on my right index, first finger, and you can see it's almost when I was 13, 14 maybe. I took the top of my index finger off almost completely. With a number 22 scalpel blade. It was like a brand new scalpel blade, one of the really big ones.
Right.
And I just, it slipped basically and almost took the top off. It was like Pac-Man on the top. I was like, oh, great. And of course, as a clever, level-headed, idiotic teenager as I was, rather than kind of stick the flat back down and hold it and try and get it to clot. I thought, you cut your finger, you run it under the tap, don't you? You run your finger, cut fingers, go run under the tap. But
ouch,
only to a certain point. So basically, I'm just washing this bleeding tip of my finger. It's just, it won't stop bleeding. It won't stop bleeding because obviously I'm like running water and diluting it all. And in the end, I had to kind of go with my tail between my legs to Mum and go, "Mummy, cut my finger." And she got a full-on handkerchief, wrapped it around, and just like, I've never had my finger squeezed so hard in all my life. And you know, with the cartoons, when they hit their thumbs and it goes like massive, and they put the bandage around it.
Yeah.
She literally did that on my finger, and this enormous bandage on top of my finger. So I know how much that's going to hurt for a while, Jamie. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I know. I actually cut my my thumb. I've actually got a little character on it there at the moment. But I cut my thumb with a Stanley knife years ago, opening up a box, and my hand was in the wrong place. And this is while I was making double glazed windows at the time. And I was walking up the factory, going like that. And as my hand was filling up with blood, I was doing this within seconds. And I got to the showroom where all the windows are and all this sort of stuff. And my boss is like, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "I'm just going to sort my hand out." So I got into the bathroom, got it all wrapped up so it stopped bleeding. And he said to me, "Let's have a look then." And I was like, "I've got to go up to the hospital, go and get this stitched up." It ended up needing 4 stitches. And he goes, "Are you sure it's all right?" And I was like, "I don't know. What do you think?" And I literally peeled it back. Oof. And he was like, yeah, kind of like that, Chris.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it was enough to turn Chris's stomach.
Well, no, somebody in the chat had mentioned something that made me think of something that I did want to talk about today. And the chat went by too quickly for me to remember who said it. I think it was Ian from the shed. And if I got that wrong, I apologize. He had mentioned that if this goes on until September, then obviously Maker Central is going to be postponed again. And here's the point that I want to make, because if it hasn't happened to you guys yet over there, then it's going to. Trust me. Somebody along the lines of somebody who you might think is responsible is going to talk to you and say, "Oh, this will be over by such and such time," and don't believe a damn word that you hear about that, because nobody knows when this is going to be over with. We all hope it'll be over with in at least a couple months, but nobody knows when this is going to end. So don't hold your hope out for somebody else's false hope that they're sending you. Deal with the brutal reality that it is right now. It's the only way you'll know how to prepare yourself for the upcoming events that are gonna hit you in the face. So don't, if you hear somebody say, "Oh, April 15th, we're all going back to work," that's BS. Okay, just that's just BS. Just don't buy into it. Understand that nobody knows when this is going to be over. It's not going to be over until it's freaking over, and nobody knows when that end date is. So please ignore people that tell you that kind of stuff, because all they're trying to do is feed you false hope, and that does you no good. Because it gives you, because if they say by April 15th this will be all over, everybody's going, "Okay, yay, we're all looking for April 15th." When April 16th rolls around, where does that hope go? Right out the friggin' window.
Yeah.
And then and the person's credibility who said that to begin with goes right out the friggin' window as well. So just don't listen to that crap. All right, just do what you got to do now to take care of yourselves.
And if you accept that now, it makes it a lot easier. And I'll liken that. I can remember back in my army days, and we'd go off for a run. We'd all get grouped together, PTI at the front, and he'd say, "Right, follow me," and he'd just start running, and you'd all run after him, and it was like, "Right, keep up." And then you'd run around for a bit, and you'd think you'd been running for a week, and you'd near this bend, and there'd be a truck parked up, and you'd be running towards it and be like, "Yes, there's the truck. Oh, we're going to stop soon. And we have to stop staying." And you get up to the truck and it'd drive off.
Right.
And it was the most demoralizing thing ever, because you just convince yourself that it's going to stop. Nobody told you this is the end of it. You just saw a truck, and that nobody's giving you that date. So just don't even think about it. Just day at a time. That's because you'll go out of your mind, counting down towards it, and then counting past it as well. So absolutely.
It's like being a child in the back seat when the family's on a long trip, and you were the kid.
Are we nearly there yet?
Yeah, are we there yet? Are we there? Are we there yet? Almost, and then almost is like in your mind is like, oh great, in 5 minutes we'll be there, and then actually 6 hours later, are we there yet? It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Just face the facts that are in front of you and deal with it that way. At least that way you know how to prepare yourself. It's just healthier. It may not be happier, but it's healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just, I was going to say about preparing. Chris says about preparing. That reminds me of my my life lesson this week was going to be like prepare. I was watching the live kind of politicians' daily news brief to the country, and they do their little brief. So today this has happened. This is an update from yesterday. These are the new information. Now we'll take some questions from the country's press, and you get like Joe Blogs from BBC News and such so and so from so and so newspaper and that newspaper and whoever and all like the names. And this one guy, he didn't even know the name of the person he was talking to. He kept calling the deputy chief medical officer Dr. Paris, and her name's Jenny Harries. That, to me, I mean, it's amusing, it's quite funny, but it just kind of undermines anything. You don't even know who you're talking to. How do I know what you heard and what you're saying is true? And this wasn't from like some little kind of like, this wasn't Tom from such and such high school newspaper. This was matey boy who's quite well known in national news.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Joe.
Do your research.
Folks out there talking about schools. You know what? Schools being open or whether they're going to reopen or not before the end of this fiscal year. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that anybody can know. I think it's probably best to take the pessimistic look at this point in time and say they probably won't. Yeah. It's better to look on the long side of what's going to happen as opposed to the short end and hope. It's because I who knows? Because I mean, what is it? I mean, next Wednesday's April. I mean, how long does your school year last there in Great Britain? Does it go into June?
Yeah. So basically, what the school year won't finish until about midway through July, maybe the third week in July, and then they shut down the end of July, August, and the start of September for 6 weeks in the summer. But between now and July, there would have been is it 2 weeks at Easter?
Yeah, 2 weeks at Easter.
2 weeks for Easter holiday, and there would have been a half term as well. So you basically the year's divided up. You get weeks at Christmas, weeks at Easter, and weeks in the summer, and then between those three periods, you have a week of half term in the middle. So they only do about 3.5 hours, and then they have a week off, and then they have another 3.5 hours, and then
if you've got kids and they're obviously at home, and obviously you're at home with them, I have no idea how they're going to reboot the following school year. I don't, because considering that. I mean, because our schools have been closed here for over a month. So, I mean, we're talking maybe what, February, March, April, May, June. That's 5 months out of the school year that possibly could not happen. So I don't know how that, like, let's say if you have a second grader, I don't know. And I guess it doesn't matter when you get into the lower grades that much, but when you get into the higher grades, like 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I don't know how you reboot the next school year and just say you're now in 11th grade when you missed 5 months of 10th grade. I don't know how that's going to happen. So that's something the school system's going to have to work out. But until then.
And that's kind of the key there, Chris, is that's something for the people in that area to sort of sort out.
Well, hopefully there's a lot of homeschooling going on, and I know that the school systems were not ready for this. I mean, if the school systems were ready for this, then the teachers would be online, your kids would be in front of computers, and they would have their daily classes, and and things might still kind of sort of like, go on normally, but that's just not happening now because nobody was ready for this. I mean, nobody saw this thing coming. So, I don't know. And I feel for you, but like I said, my son's grown, and so I don't have that problem. So I'm not the person to listen to when it comes to giving advice there.
To my mind, and I'm not a government planner, but I've sort of gone, oh, this is a bit bad. I need to sort this out. We've all had those kind of personal emergencies in their life. And I liken this to that in so much as you have a really serious problem that needs dealing with now.
Right.
And it's always on top of all the other little problems, which yesterday were really serious problems. Yeah. But all of a sudden they're not because they've been overshadowed by something else. And you just have to kind of do the best you can. And sometimes you just need to go, actually, we need to do this now. And we'll kind of worry about the fallout of that tomorrow when it's sort of not so bad. It's like pointing fingers at the kid with the box of matches when your house is burning to the ground. That's not the time to be pointing fingers. That's the time to be getting out of the house and calling the fire brigade. Do you know what I mean? It's like just sort the problem as it is now and worry about the sort of the perfection of it afterwards.
Yeah, it's like calling the fire department after the house is burned down.
Exactly. So, the school side of it, I think, is a classic example of that. That in the grand scheme of things, yes, school is important, absolutely, and the education of our next following generations is key, but it's not key now. That's key over a long game strategy of life, not the short term of a pandemic. Do you see what I mean? It's like schools become not important, just like movies and TV shows being filmed. That's no longer important. It was yesterday or it was a month ago, but today it's not at all. So I'm sorry, there are more pressing emergencies, and that's what I think what people are dealing with now.
Yeah.
So as long as we can get our TV dinners, our pay-per-view, we'll be fine.
Well, I mean, since we titled this thing "Lockdown," because look, I'm not going to make fun of anybody. There are people out there that feel differently. How do you think? How do you think about this so-called lockdown that we're all in? Because I've heard people tell me that they think and they logically believe it's necessary, and so it's just kind of one of those necessary evils we all have to do. And I've heard other people going that it's absolutely not necessary. I'm asking the chat more than you guys. I mean, because I think most of us, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I mean, I will say I personally think it's necessary. But if you have a contrary opinion, I'd like to hear it, and I'd like to understand why you feel it's not. Because a lot of people just don't like being told what to do. Let's put it that way, and so they find ways to make excuses for it to be not necessary. But we are all of us in one way, shape, or form are in some sort of self-isolating mode. I think at this probably at this point in time, is that something that you think is necessary or no?
I'll let Jamie head this off first because I've got to plug my laptop in. So there you go, Jamie.
Sorry, you're gonna have to. I'll say again. My phone was going mental then.
Okay, I can. So do I think this is necessary? I do, but that to me is not the important thing. I don't think that's it doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's important or not, and the fact that I think it's important or not isn't the issue. I think the important thing is we all do as we're told.
Yeah.
Because there are people a lot smarter than me that have got a lot more information about what's going on than I do. And if I try and be clever and don't know the full facts, I could seriously mess up a plan.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, that's the
well, there's always
point.
There's always the rebels out there, the people who want to, go against
Jamie.
Yeah, well, it's funny because on the news not so long ago, and although this is sad, she kind of brought it on herself. There was a young woman, I want to say maybe mid-20s, and she was in hospital suffering with coronavirus. She was pregnant, and she was basically bawling her eyes out, begging people not to go out and all this sort of stuff. But before that, she was one of these ones going around doing all of these coronavirus challenges and not giving a damn. And now all of a sudden she's got it. She wants people to feel sympathy for her. Yeah, and yes, people will feel sympathy for her and doing all them
for different reasons.
And doing the government have told her what to do. She would never be in that predicament in the first place.
Right.
You know?
Well, I'm just I've heard some very strong opinions on both sides of this, and that's why I wanted to ask the question because I mean, I know how I feel, but how I feel doesn't mean that's how you should feel. That's pretty obvious. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's from the sort of following on from Jamie's story that I heard, there was some guy on Instagram or was it some guy on TikTok that was going around licking things that
I think there was one guy on TikTok, going around supermarkets.
He's been arrested, by the way. That gentleman was in America. He's been arrested.
The guy that was licking the toilet bowl.
No, we had a guy that was running around licking antiperspirant.
No, there was. I saw one guy, and he literally had his tongue, and he was running up and down the aisles, licking everything. I don't know if that was in the UK or not.
So there's all these stupid things going on, and it was like, what? How is that? How would that normally help? How is that normally something that a normal person would do? You know, and then all of a sudden,
it's to get views, isn't it? They think they're cool by doing it. Yeah, they're just idiots.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, there's something weird going on there, irrespective of the wider picture. Just as an isolated instance, that to me is like, but
let's get out of it. How have you been? How have you guys been handling it? I mean, because that's kind of what we want to talk about today, and we've only got like 15 minutes left. Jeez, I can't. I mean, we really want to talk about how people have been dealing with it, what they've done, what they haven't done, what they plan on doing. I mean, we all have apparently, myself excluded. A lot of you folks have now free time that you were not expecting to have. How are you using it? I mean, because for the first time in our lives, we can save the world by sitting on our couch. It's like it's like This is not hard. But what are you doing with the time?
I've just been making, to be honest with you.
I mean, It's funny because Kat and I were talking about this actually over tea. Somebody says, you have all this extra time on your hands. I was like, wow, I could have this and this and that. But actually, you don't. After a while, you don't want to be doing all those things. I haven't had an issue with staying in and being busy, but I've also tried to do things for the wider community. There's a gentleman that lives near Cat, within 100 yards, and we used to walk the dogs together. I know him fairly well, but don't know him that well. And he is one of the at-risk people. So he's basically now been told by the NHS to just completely lock himself away in his house for 3 months. And he's got a dog, and the dog needs walking. And he rang up. We saw him in the street a week ago and thought, actually, we don't know if he's got family or anything like that. And I gave him my card and said, if there's anything you need, mate, just give us a call. It doesn't matter what it is. If we can help, we'll help. Because I try and be, maybe not to Jamie, but I try and be nice to most people. And he rang me up the other day, and he was running out of dog biscuits. And his dog's awesome. It's the most beautiful dog he's got. He said, "Oh, can you get these dog biscuits?" And I did. I ran out and to go up the road and got these massive, 25-kilo bag of dog biscuits for him. And that was fine because it was just like a normal thing. So I've also been sort of trying to help people locally.
Well, let me see. Dale says that the situation is resetting reality that was lost to us over the last 30 years, that we actually have to behave as a community and not as the disciples of the cult of the individual. Yeah, okay, that's one way. Emma says that, cooking, she says, Susie made the most delicious cheesecake. I'm like, awesome. You know what? Cooking is a great way to kill some time. Jake,
where's ours?
Jake Thompson says, work, and more work, just not today. And you know what? If you can be working, I know that it's tough to go to work knowing that everybody else is like, it seems to you like everybody else is just lounging at home. Trust me, you don't want to be at home. If you are working, you are one of the lucky ones, because the people that are lounging at home, many of them don't have jobs anymore. And many of them don't know how they're going to put food on the table next week. And they don't know how they're going to keep the roof over their head. So if you are working, trust me, if you've ever appreciated being employed, then this would be the time to be appreciative of being employed. And there are a couple other people out there, basically just saying, doing what they can to stay busy, and that's pretty much all we can do, I guess. I mean, and it's tough to find something new that interests you that you can spend all day on. I mean, because I don't spend all day in my workshop. It's like, even though I enjoy woodworking and things of that nature, when I'm able to go out and do it, I don't spend all day out there. So it doesn't kill all of the time. It's just we have to fill as much of it as we can, because we have to maintain our own freaking sanity, for no other reason than just because we need to keep our own minds busy.
See, you see this, Chris?
Yeah.
Plastic. But it might get so desperate, I do a tax return.
Oh Jesus! Do the taxes?
Yeah. I mean, I'm basically not now going to be working till at least into the next tax year, so I can pretty much complete my tax return, certainly the paperwork side of it at this end,
right
now. So I might do that. I might have like a nice relaxed day, open a bottle of water and run the bath, maybe light some scented candles, lay out all the receipts, and do that.
I know this is tough for some people, and people especially that suffer from like depression and things of that nature. And I think it's just important to let people know there are avenues out there where you can stay incommunicado with people, whether it's via Google Hangouts or God forgive me, and I'm not looking to poke fun at a generation, but I mean, I know that these things are normally used today for texting, but they were originally invented so that you could make a phone call. Try using the keypad on this and actually call and talk to somebody, because it helps to hear a friend's voice. If you can't see them, then at least it helps to hear them, And so if you need to reach out, then use this thing for what it was intended for initially, and that's make the phone call. Call somebody, talk to them, spend 15 minutes on the phone with somebody, just having a chat. It's like, yeah, and I know that seems like a passe thing that happened back when your granddad was, but I mean, honestly, make a phone call. I mean, text don't quite cut it when you need some actual human interaction. Make a phone call.
Just so you know, Chris, that little device that you just held up in your hand also is able to download Instagram.
Which, by the way,
he has a point.
Gives me actually no human interaction whatsoever. I can find the same text in our chat here today. I can find the same kind of little clips on Facebook. I mean, Jamie, that's not what I'm talking about. So yeah, haha, funny. You missed my point. Anyway,
Chris is like this. That's why he doesn't use his phone. So
oh, you guys,
a little bit.
I'm
sorry, Chris. I promised I wouldn't tease
you. Do we have any questions, Chris?
I already yes.
Because I know
Andy Pugh had some questions. Let me get to those. So, because what the hell? We're gonna go long today, boys. Andy Pugh was asking. I would be interested to know if people are just getting on with things they already do, or if they have tried new things. So are you just kind of keeping the ball rolling, or have you decided to give the ball a bump and try something new?
Well, I guess I started doing a little bit more resin. I mean, I've only not really worked with it much before. I've maybe done 1 or 2 projects before. So yeah, I guess resin would be mine.
So you're not just
resin.
you're not just keeping the ball rolling. You're actually giving us a few new things to try, right?
Yeah, I'm adding resin to woodworking at the moment. I've obviously started adding colouring, but I guess that was a little bit before. But I've started doing it a bit more, kind of experimenting a bit more with help from Wayne the Woodturner, obviously, the master.
I haven't started doing anything new per se. I sort of have and I haven't. I mean, I made that hammer, and that was the first time or the first technique I'd used that particular thing with leather. But I haven't tried, like with resin, I haven't tried anything as dramatically new as that, because I'm ultimately thinking about getting materials. You know, is there an issue if I mess something up, then having to stop and not being able to start it? So I'm trying to tie up loose ends, if anything. I've got a big box of projects I've been meaning to do, or project ideas for ages. I'm sort of getting through those. I have actually got a couple of jobs that I can get on for clients that I can do in the workshop, which I haven't started yet because, well, I don't want to do them and then not have anything down the road. So I'm trying to kind of sort of spread out the work, as it were. I don't even know if I've answered the question there. So yes and no, but in a sort of a not very confident way.
Okay. Now, his next question was: has the enforced changes made anyone reevaluate the way they do things?
Yeah, definitely. For me, I mean, I've started being a lot more thrifty in my sort of attitude towards stuff.
There you go.
And I think, hopefully, from a personal point of view and a personal betterment point of view, I hope this lasts long enough for it to kind of make a permanent change.
That was going to be his next question. And if you have, do you think that those are going to become permanent changes?
Well, hopefully, because we all no one likes being skint. I mean, being thrifty from that point of view, not from a kind of a green environmental point of view, just purely from a financial standpoint. Less waste means less wasted money. And so from that point of view, I hope, it's going to sound really weird, but I hope this lasts long enough to actually make a physical change. But then it doesn't have to last long to make a physical habitual change, I don't think, if you're determined.
So, I've done a lot more online shopping.
But is that from a sort of a grocery shopping food shop sort of, or have you just been buying stuff that you would have gone Hobbycraft for? Yeah,
basically. Yeah, like glue sticks, like for the waste blocks and that sort of stuff.
Okay. I mean, I haven't bought anything at all for project wise. Last Monday, I managed to do a run to my supplier and get some resin for doing rotten windows and some timber for projects that are on the list after this all blows over. But I've not bought any materials. I've got no extra glue in, screws, nothing. Just use up what I've got, because I've got loads of stuff. So I find that's quite interesting.
I haven't been able to use it yet because I've been sick the past week. But I went out and got a brand new cookbook from somebody, and I went out and bought a brand new pasta rolling machine because I've never made my own pasta.
Ooh.
And with
do you know what? Julian also never done that.
With pasta being in such short supply in our supermarkets nowadays, I went, you know what? This is, if there's a time to give this a go, it's time to give it a go. Let's just give this a go. And so I got all the stuff that I need, and so hopefully by this time next week I'll be feeling much better, and I'll have given that a try. And what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, I might make some great freaking pasta, or it may end up being and may end up being a really bad gnocchi. I mean, I don't really know. You know, you got to try, right? So you got to, and so
Tastes a lot better as well.
I have intentions of doing something different than what I normally did, just because, you know, if I have the opportunity to learn a new skill and I'm given the time to do it, then why not? You know, it's like, you know, take the time and, you know, turn it positive and keep the negative out the front door. You know, just turn it into what you can. That makes you better. All right. Well,
there you go.
Guys, I think that's all we have time for today. And this, if you want to get into your shout outs, I mean, Richard, if you have one, go for it. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. I don't have a shout out because I've been too sucked into the news and you know, watching what's going on. I really haven't watched a lot of videos this week. So guys, I apologize if you put some out. I'll catch them later, but I haven't seen them this week.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I basically have been the same as you there, Chris. I've been watching. If I've been watching anything, it's been the news. Although there is such a thing as watching too much news, it can sort of drag you into a bit of a downward spiral emotionally if you're not careful. So just beware of that. But I will, if I may, before we let Jamie loose and potentially even round the show off, I'm going to very quickly just mention our sponsors, because, as always, our show is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad at Mancrafting, Pam over at Highland Boxes, and Steve Harneal from Harneal Media. If you want to find out more about our sponsors, and I suggest and recommend that you do, head on over to the website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors, because they really do make a huge difference in running the show. So big thank you to them, and that's all I've got to say about that. As this good use of the shout out time.
Right, got it.
And you've also just ruined part of my Jamie's page.
Yes, two for.
But 2 for 1. But I will also mention for that obviously Maker Central will eventually happen. You're also going to still need stickers if you still need stickers anyway. You can go to our podcast website at makersinternationalpodcast.com/stickers for £20 discount off of your stickers at checkout. If it's a one email, one use sticker code. So if you've used your email once before on that website, go and get another email. Otherwise, the £20 discount won't work. So, yeah, you just upload your files and bippity bop, you've got your £20 discount. I do have a shout out. My shout out goes to Farmcraft 101. He made a massive pin tumbler lock out of wood. He basically got a tumbler lock and scaled it up by 10 times the size. So it's absolutely incredible. And it's actually a working lock as well. So, yeah, great video. Awesome.
I'll check it out.
Nice. Did anyone notice Jamie's very near Disney reference there?
No, you're the only one who did.
Bibbidi bobbidi boo. But just thought I'd throw that in there if anyone listened. I'm not sure if we are doing we're not on Patreon live after party show or not, because nobody really knows what's happening. But no doubt we'll be here next week.
I do.
No doubt we'll be here next week. Jamie, what do you mean, Jamie? You know, Jamie.
I know because I've got a premiere half hour.
Right. Okay. So I like the way just slid that in. Jamie's doing a live premiere. Is it on your channel, Jamie?
It is on my channel. JP Woodwork, no S.
Where the hell else would it be, Richard?
So that's on your channel, JP Woodwork, over on YouTube in half an hour. So at 11 o'clock UK time, presumably.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm assuming if somebody's listening to this after tonight in the future, then it will already be on your channel.
It will.
Yeah, but they'll still be able to go to the same channel, JP Woodwork, to see that. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yes. They will. Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Just to get, not that we want to do like an over-the-top name dropping or anything there, Jamie.
And just in case Chris didn't hear, it's JP Woodwork.
Thank you. Oh, God.
It's all right because it's the end of the show, Chris. So nobody's listening anyway.
How much more can we grease this pig? I mean, come on.
We get to this point and everyone just tails off anyway. Nobody listens at this time of the show. But if you are still listening, thank you very much. If you're not, then we'll say what we like about you. I'm not sure what we're talking about next week. It could be anything, as always. We're always interested to hear your ideas. So if you've got an idea for the show or you want to know something specific, then you could probably get in touch with one or all of us or something over on the website via our emails or us personally, probably. Is that the case?
Via our Facebook page. Yeah.
Don't go to Instagram if you want to talk to Chris. Though, he won't reply. He's there, but he won't reply. Anyway, so until next week when we do something at some point, then we'll see you next week. So you then take care.
Have a great week, everybody.
See you later, everybody.